In July 1947, Roswell became the center of conspiracy theories and a tourist destination for those looking for tiny green men, after a local rancher claimed to have discovered a flying saucer in his field. The infamous Roswell incident refers to the recovery of mundane metallic and rubber debris from a ranch near Corona, New Mexico, by United States Army Air Forces officers from Roswell Army Airfield, and then decades later conspiracy theories claiming that the debris had extraordinary properties, involved a flying saucer, and that the truth had been concealed by the United States government. In February of 1948, an alien craft was discovered on a mesa near Aztec, New Mexico. And in March of 1948, a different craft was discovered in Hart Canyon, close to Aztec, New Mexico, which had a diameter of 100 feet. From those two crafts, 17 extraterrestrial bodies in total were found. The discovery of several human body parts stored inside both of these vehicles was of much greater significance. The paranoia had quickly taken hold of everyone who was in the know, and the secret was immediately escalated as above top secret and carefully suppressed. The security net was far more restrictive than the one put in place for the Manhattan Project. These incidents would become the most closely held mysteries in world history during the following decade. The National Security Agency was established on the 4th of November in 1952 by a secret executive order of President Truman. Its main goal was to understand alien communications and language in order to start a conversation with extraterrestrial. The most pressing task, codenamed Sigma, was a continuation of the preceding undertaking. The NSA's secondary goal was to monitor all communications and emissions from every gadget on the planet in order to gather information, both human and alien, and keep the presence of extraterrestrial life a secret. In 1953, the first year that President Eisenhower held office, at least 10 more alien discs crashed, along with 26 dead and 4 live extraterrestrials being found. Of the 10 extraterrestrial craft, 4 were in Arizona, 2 in Texas, 1 in New Mexico, 1 in Louisiana, 1 in Montana, and 1 in South Africa. Hundreds of sightings were occurring. During the same year, astronomers spotted large objects in space traveling towards Earth. They were first thought to be asteroids, but evidence later revealed that the objects could be spaceships. Project Sigma intercepted an alien radio transmission. When the objects arrived on Earth, they entered a high orbit around the equator. There were several massive spacecraft, and their true purpose was unknown. Through radio conversations using the computer binary language, Project Sigma and a new Project Plato were able to arrange a landing that resulted in face-to-face contact with alien beings from another planet. The mission of Project Plato was to establish diplomatic ties with an alien race of extraterrestrial. Later that year, a group of grey aliens orbiting the Earth landed at Holloman Air Force Base, and a basic understanding was gained. This race defined itself as being from a planet orbiting a red star known to us as Betelgeuse in the Orion constellation. They claimed that their planet was dying and that they would be unable to exist there in the future. As a result, the extraterrestrials made a second landing at Edwards Air Force Base. The momentous event had been arranged in advance, and the treaty's terms had been agreed upon. On the scheduled day, President Eisenhower was dragged away to the base, with the press informed that he was attending a dentist appointment. But by 1955, it was clear that the aliens had deceived Eisenhower and had violated the treaty. Mutilated individuals and animals were discovered all around the United States. It was assumed that the aliens were not providing Majestic 12 with a complete list of human encounters and abductees, and that not all abductees had been returned. The Soviet Union was suspected of dealing with them, which turned out to be correct. The aliens had been, and were still, manipulating large groups of people through secret societies, witchcraft, magic, the occult, and religion. Following multiple Air Force combat air encounters with alien craft, it became clear that our weaponry was no match for them. Eisenhower knew he had to deal with this alien problem. On May 31st of 1987, it was widely reported that British ufologist Timothy Good claimed to have records from the 1950s regarding UFOs. In the documents, a secret committee of 12 was said to have been established, supposedly with Harry Truman's approval in 1952, and was to explain how the alien spacecraft crash in Roswell in July of 1947 had been covered up, how the recovered alien technology could be used, and how the United States should interact with extraterrestrial life in the future. Researchers claim that in 1984, ufologist Jamie Shandera received a package containing a film. When the film was processed, photographs of 8 pages of documents that seemed to be briefing papers outlining Operation Majestic 12 were revealed. The historic Roswell disaster in 1947 allegedly led to the creation of the program known as Operation Majestic 12, or otherwise known as Magic 12. President Truman assigned Majestic 12, a group of high-ranking military generals and government representatives, to investigate the disaster and determine the best course of action to take. To brief the incoming President Eisenhower on its findings, the panel prepared a number of documents. These documents purportedly described the craft's retrieval, the extraterrestrial beings on board, and the crash's photographic evidence. The records were marked Magic Eyes only, a security classification apparently 2 levels higher than top secret. If they are found to be true, they would validate all conspiracy theories surrounding the Roswell accident in New Mexico, as well as the long-held assumption that the government has been withholding information about alien contact from the public. When the accuracy of several of the reports is called into question, the shady associations of the actors engaged in the story also cast a shadow of suspicion. According to conspiracy theories, it was established on the advice of Dr. Vannevar Bush, the chairman of the Office of Scientific Research and Development at the time, and James Forrestal, the then Secretary of Defense. Eisenhower had issued a secret executive memorandum to form a permanent body to be known as Majestic 12, to oversee and conduct all covert efforts associated with the alien matter. When Congress and the press became interested, a plan was developed to explain the purpose of these meetings. In this scenario, the government responded to the documents' authenticity by evaluating them and literally labeling them as bogus in bold black letters. This was the FBI's conclusion 4 years after the records were discovered and evaluated by the Air Force. The Majestic 12 documents were mailed to filmmaker Jamie Shandera in the form of an undeveloped reel of film at random in 1984. One of the more well-known figures in ufology, Stanton Friedman, conducted studies on the documents shown in the photographs after Shandera created the film, and he continues to uphold their integrity today. Curiously, whoever sent Shandera the images of the documents waited until the last purported Majestic 12 member had died, preventing any prospect of questioning individual members about their role. However, several of the group's members had first-hand experience with government initiatives like the National Investigators Committee on Aerial Phenomena and Project Blue Book, which are tasked with looking into UFOs. One of the more well-known ufology papers is a memo written by General Nathan Twining, a purported member of Majestic 12. Following the Roswell incident, a request for an investigation into UFO phenomena is made in this actual letter to a fellow general. The Majestic 12 files were the subject of numerous FBI investigations in the late 1980s, according to a report by Nick Redfern, another ufologist who has diligently examined the files despite the fact that the government has declared them to be bogus. Some of these investigations gave agents reason to think that a highly secret Majestic 12 program is possibly being withheld from them. One agent even claimed that the government has so many top secret levels that not even some parts of the government are aware of them. A collection of Air Force generals, Navy rear admirals, and government officials made up the Majestic 12. Nelson Rockefeller, the CIA Director Alan Welsh Dulles, Secretary of State John Foster Dulles, the Secretary of Defense Charles Wilson, the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff Admiral Arthur Radford, FBI Director Edgar Hoover, and 6 men from the Council on Foreign Relations Executive Committee known as the Wise Men comprised the Majestic 12 team. Some have hypothesized that Magic 12, the Majestic 12's alternate name, is actually an acronym for the Joint Intelligence Committee's military assessment. The Hillenkoetter Memo, a document about the conspiracy, is specifically about one of these individuals, Roscoe Hillenkoetter. Rear Admiral Hillenkoetter served as the Navy's first director of the CIA before rising to the position of Director of Central Intelligence. Shandera began an inquiry with Bill Moore, the author of the Roswell incident, after receiving the roll of film containing pictures of the Majestic 12 documents. They found one of Hillenkoetter's memos while searching through government and military memo archives and reads as follows. The President has decided that the MJ-12 Secret Space Program briefing should take place during the already scheduled White House meeting of July 16, rather than following it as previously intended. More precise arrangements will be explained to you upon arrival. Please alter your plans accordingly. Your concurrence in the above change of arrangements is assumed. Stanton Friedman has spoken highly of the reliability of this document. Hillenkoetter is also credited with briefing Eisenhower about the Roswell spacecraft recovery and subsequent alien encounters. But the link between Shandera and Bill Moore cast doubt on the veracity of the Majestic 12 tale. Despite being a ufologist himself, Moore revealed to the world that he had conspired with a government operative to distribute false information concerning UFOs. Richard Doty, a CIA agent entrusted with supplying Paul Benowitz with false material concerning UFOs and extraterrestrials when he became convinced of their existence in the 1980s, served as the disinformation agent. At the Kirkland Air Force Base in New Mexico, Benowitz was employed as a contractor and had access to secret military programs that the government did not want him to reveal. The authorities persuaded him of false extraterrestrial conspiracies after he claimed to have seen UFOs, pushing him to the brink of insanity. Another believer of the Majestic 12 documents is Linda Moulton Howe, who claims to have seen proof of Project Aquarius, which is a secret project connected to Majestic 12 and a presidential briefing on UFO crashes and extraterrestrial contact. She too, however, received this knowledge through Doty. After her acclaimed film Strange Harvest, Howe was working on a documentary for HBO. She hoped to include a sizable piece of Doty's footage, as well as an interview with him. However, it never happened, and HBO stopped sponsoring the documentary. But recently, a number of fresh documents came to light that were accepted as true by those who still have faith in the project. According to a document dated January 8th, 1989, the government discovered 7 flying machines as well as the remains of 27 dead non-human species. 3 of the recovered machines are said to be nearly complete, and 1 machine has continued to run since its discovery. It continues by by outlining the background of the Roswell crash and the papers of the Majestic 12 members. Although Linda Moulton Howe and the majority of her co-workers have disproved the veracity of these most recent Majestic 12 documents, Stanton Friedman is one of only a few people that consistently uphold their integrity. Yet a large portion of the document's format and verbiage is clearly bogus. But who is responsible for creating these latest documents and going to such lengths to spread a complicated tale? Rumors were that MJ12 still remains today and functions as it always has. It was claimed that the Majestic 12 was the Illuminati's most important arm in the 21st century, establishing dominance through the selective distribution of its knowledge. It oversaw the spread of legal and illegal pharmaceuticals, ailments, and remedies through numerous subsidiaries. Majestic 12 was also given the goal of influencing and, if possible, managing the world's intelligence agencies. What are your thoughts on Majestic 12? Could all of this just be one big cover-up? Thank you so much for hanging out with me and watching today. My name is James, and this is the Restricted section. We upload 3 times per week, and if you enjoy stories like this one, please like the video, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our future uploads. If there are any topics you would like to see in future videos, please let me know in the comments section below. Thanks again, and see you on the next one.